No, we just go with the national anthem.
Okay, then. All right, let's go with the national, with this. Is that the second stanza or the first?
The first.
Okay. Let's say a word of prayer. Arise. Never a better time to hear this. Arise, O compatriots, at a time like the eve to the presidential election. Welcome once again, and may the good Lord answer us and put our country aright. Amen. And then we'll go to the next item on the agenda. I'd like to invite the Student Affairs Chair to lead us in the safety brief. Queen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Captain. Good evening, everyone. SPE is a very big organization and we prioritize safety a lot. So for this evening, please take note of the following safety tips. Ensure that your mic is muted when you're not speaking. Raise your hands, use the icon for raising the hand button, the sound and the reactions icon there. So you can actually raise your hands when you want to speak. On the chat box, make sure you use C for comments and Q for questions. And then ensure that even if you're using the headset, you can still hear the fire alarm in case of an emergency, and always be alert and aware of your environment. We're in trying times and this is a very sensitive period. So stay safe at all times and maintain a good hygiene. Thank you guys and enjoy the event.
Thank you very much, Queen. Thank you. And then the next item on the agenda will be the section chair welcome address, but he's unavoidably absent. So I'd like to invite the program's chair to please welcome us in his address. Madam.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Once again, thank you for creating time to join in this February monthly technical meeting. Like Dr. Jude mentioned, our SC is not available. He's currently on his way to his village where he's going to vote. And so this is also a plea to everyone to ensure that they go out tomorrow to go and vote. As usual, one of the key benefits of being an SPE member is having the opportunity to learn apart from networking. So even fields that we are not working in, we based on all these technical sessions, we learn, we have a knowledge about what's happening in other areas. So and this topic is an important topic, is an interesting topic. And I would like everyone to just listen very well. And at the end of the day, ask questions to continue growing. This helps us to grow our knowledge about topics. So thank you very much and wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, this is a very unique one, where we go back to the subsurface from where it all starts before the rest of the engineering activity and begin to happen. Without further ado, PC, while you're still with the mic, please do us the honor to bring in the moderator and then the rest will continue from there. Thank you, PC.
All right, thank you very much. So our moderator for today is Dr. Samunonengi Ofori Dagogo. He's a research geophysicist and lecturer at the Geophysics Department of Physics, University of Port Harcourt. He has over 10 years of working experience, and he's seasoned in the principle and practice of his discipline. He has worked on several projects in a wide variety of research teams, including seismic processing and interpretation, reservoir characterization, time-lapse analysis, surface wave analysis, and geophysical inversion. His interest is currently in reservoir geomechanics, geophysical modeling, and simulation. He graduated from the University of Port Harcourt. He had his PHC and MSc in physics and applied geophysics. He also holds MSc and DIC in petroleum geophysics from Imperial College London, and has a PhD from the University of Port Harcourt in applied geophysics. Apart from being a research geophysicist, he is also an ordained minister of God, a development enthusiast, and a lively member of the society. Of course, with such a pedigree, you will know that he has held several positions and is still holding several positions, both in religious and secular settings, where he uses that opportunity to contribute to the upliftment of humanity, including being a visiting lecturer at the Center of Excellence in Geosciences and Petroleum Engineering, University of Benin for several years. His hobbies include games, soccer, movies, and music. He's married to Tejiri and has a beautiful daughter, Kara. Join me in welcoming Dr. Dagogo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SPE. Let me say welcome to everyone to this month's technical meeting. I'm very delighted to be here to say thank you to the leadership of the SPE section here in Port Harcourt for having me. Okay, this evening I'm going to be getting a presentation titled Powering the Future Through Integrated Geophysical Evaluation, case study from shallow offshore Nigeria. And to talk to us about that this evening is the speaker, Mr. Chibuzo JJ. Before I go on to introduce read his profile and give him the floor, I'd like us to just note that while the presentation is ongoing, if you have a question or anything, you can use the chat box so you don't forget. So if you have a comment or question, you can just drop it there so that much later we can then go through and respond appropriately. Okay, without wasting much time, the speaker for this evening is none other than Chibuzo JJ. Chibuzo started out as a processing geophysicist at the Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC of Nigeria Limited. As a processing geophysicist, he was involved in the specialized seismic processing and reprocessing of onshore and offshore, shallow offshore seismic surveys in Niger Delta. He is currently an operations geophysicist delivering high quality seismic surveys safely and responsibly. He got his master's degree in applied geophysics from Institut Français de Pétrole, that's ISP school, and a BSc degree in applied physics from Rivers State University, RSU. He's a member of Society of Exploration Geophysicists, SEG, National Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NAPE, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, NMGS, and Council of Nigerian Mining Engineers and Geosciences, COMEG. His research interests are in advanced imaging and high fidelity seismic surveys. He enjoys seeing the world, watching movies, and playing sports. He is married to Ronke, and they are blessed with 2 kids. This evening, I give you Mr. Chibuzo JJ for his presentation. Can you welcome him?
Thank you, Dr. Dagogo. Thank you so much, the community. I'm super glad to be here. It's an opportunity to share and learn. Thank you. I think it's time for me to share my screen. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct, Chibuzo. Go ahead.
All right, so let me do that quickly. Please let me know when you can see the screen. Can you hear me and see the screen? Can someone confirm?
I can hear you, but not yet on the screen from my end.
Okay.
Is that the same for others?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see your screen.
Yes, the screen is still sharing.
Is the screen up now? Because I can, from my end, it's showing.
Not yet.
It's sharing.
Not yet at my end.
Okay.
Not yet at my end. Maybe a bit on network.
Is there anyone on the call seeing the screen?
I can. A chat is saying I can hear you, but can't see it.
Okay, maybe
It's
let
okay.
me try again.
Just try it again. Maybe stop sharing and then try
Okay.
again.
Is it up now?
It's loading. I think
Okay.
just give it a couple of seconds.
All right, great. Great to hear that. While is it up now?
No, not yet. It's spinning through as if it's trying to load.
While the screen is trying to come up, just want to use this opportunity to thank you for having us, for inviting us. It's always a privilege to come to such a community, a vibrant community, to share, to learn, and to also to strengthen the network.
It looks like it's hanging. Are you sharing a window or are you just sharing the desktop kind of?
I'm sharing the desktop.
That usually works better with network. Maybe you could stop and share again. Apologies, participants. We just ran into this.
This is strange because it worked. You did a test.
Maybe don't put the audio option yet, if that takes up bandwidth. Or would you mind if Simeon share from his ends and then you could drive from there as a backup?
Is it up now?
Not yet for me, maybe others. Can someone affirm if it's up for you?
Not yet.
Not
The
yet,
strange
yes.
thing is,
From my
that it's
end,
showing.
no. From my end, no. Good evening, no.
Good evening, welcome. Or would you also attempt, I hope that doesn't make it
Okay, let me see
worse,
if I can.
leaving the
Share
meeting
the.
and joining back?
Yeah, let me try something else again. PowerPoint share. Any improvements?
No, wait, I'm not. It's just blank here.
Okay, maybe, okay, what I'll do right now is I'll try this, I'll leave and I'll join. If it doesn't work, then Simeon will share from his end. Because it's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so just pardon me, let me leave.
We will shut down your Zoom and just join in afresh and let's see. Okay, sorry, apologies, participant attendees. This was mitigated, but here it is happening. But thankfully there are backups to this, so we'll give it another minute for him to join in back and take it up from there. I'm sorry, we'll try to keep the rest of the program after the presentation shorter so that we are still in time for the evening. But welcome.
It's okay. I will, but though what I would suggest is, in case if he's not able to still display from his own end, he can also share from another person's laptop or screen rather.
Indeed, that's the backup after this trainer. Welcome again.
Yeah, thank you. Can you just give me access to share?
Okay, Simeon.
Okay.
Okay, now we can see your screen.
All right, great.
Yeah, it worked. Okay, carry on. Don't worry on the time lost. Just still go out with your message. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your patience. Apologies with the initial hiccups. Welcome everyone. And today, before we start, we would like to just do a bit of reflection on the upcoming SPE OLEF topic, which is on effective gas utilization vis-a-vis the energy mix. That's quite important. And we think that the topic is quite apt and is relevant looking at what's happening in the world today regarding the energy and transition. And that keys into what we'll be talking about today, which is on the powering the future through integrated geophysical evaluation, case study from shallow offshore Nigeria. I am Chibuzo, and I'll be making this presentation on behalf of my co-authors, Tammy, Debo, and Noso. This is a disclaimer to show that this presentation contains forward-looking statements. If you would like to find out more, you're advised to just visit our website. We've divided the talk today into three parts. We'll start first with the introduction, where we'll talk about the technical challenge, the business challenge, and the data that we're working with. Then we'll move on to the workflow. What did we devise to ensure that we meet the technical challenge and we also solve the business challenge? Finally, we'll wrap up with a conclusion and way forward. Now that we know how this presentation is going to go, I would like us to start with the first part, which is the introduction. There's a growing demand for energy around the world, and not just any type of energy, green energy, sustainable energy, and affordable energy. And that is where gas comes into play. Gas has been identified as a transitional fuel to power not just Nigeria, Africa, and globally. And currently, we're in the decade of gas, which was declared by the federal government of Nigeria. At Shell, that makes our shallow water offshore acreages very vital to providing more and cleaner access to energy. In 2019, we acquired one of the largest OBN seismic surveys, shallow offshore Nigeria. And that data will be used for shallow water exploration to add significant volumes to LNG Train 7. This is gas for export. We are also going to be drilling high pressured wells. And to drill high pressure wells, you need to be able to de-risk the well so that you ensure you drill the wells safely. Now that we have an idea of the business challenge as it pertains to what we want to do, let's look at the data that we'll be working with. So this is a cartoon to show us what ocean bottom node seismic is, which we acquired over our shallow water acreage. We lay the ocean bottom nodes on the seafloor. This is which you can see as the yellow icon. And these ocean bottom nodes are detectors. What they do is they detect seismic energy that has traversed the subsurface and has been reflected by layer boundaries. These detectors detect 4 components of seismic energy, both the compressional waves and the shear waves. And this is very important for the reservoir delineation and characterization. The energy that the ocean bottom waves detect or collect is sent by an air gun, which is put at the back of a specialized seismic vessel. This vessel detonates this air gun, which is pressurized air in the container, and it releases this air with high pressure. And when it releases this air, it sends waves down the subsurface, and they get reflected, and it gets recorded by the ocean bottom nodes. These nodes have a battery life, and some of them can last as long as 60 days in the sea, on the seafloor. At the end of the day, they get collected and they get downloaded, and the data is read. So this is just a simplistic way of what ocean bottom nodes look like. So in the next slide, we'll see a video of what it happens in real life when we acquire this data.
Offshore seismic acquisition technically involves the laying of nodes consisting of ocean bottom nodes called receiver lines on the seafloor at 100 meters interval in accordance with the pre-ported positions established during survey. In this instance, BGP had 16 receiver lines that make up an active patch. The source lines are then shot over the top of the receiver lines for the purpose of data acquisition. This is repeated throughout the acquisition process, with the node vessels deploying the nodes ahead of the source vessels. For this operation, there were 2 node vessels, Ocean Pearl and REM Aquarius, and 2 source vessels, Ocean Europe and REM Andes. While the duo of Ocean Pearl and REM Andes operated southwards, Ocean Europe and REM Aquarius operated northwards. At the end of the shooting process lies another painstaking recovery of the node's activity, picking up the nodes when the patch is completed. As the nodes are pulled up one at a time by the back dock operator, the node man receives it and removes the carabiner hook to detach it from the cable. A complete node consists of the main body, node, a heading sensor, and transponder. The transponder transmits signal that assists in determining that the load is in the right spot. The retrieved node is washed thoroughly to remove any particles it came with from the seabed. It is then scanned to ensure it is the right node based on a unique identification number inscribed on each node. The next.
All right, so we've seen how ocean bottom nodes are acquired, how they are deployed, and how they are retrieved. And now we'll see what the challenge is, the technical challenge. So, just a moment, sorry. All right, on the image on the top right-hand corner, or the top left-hand corner, is the OBN that we acquired, that you saw the video. But one thing you notice is that the blue polygon, which is the Aturu prospect that we're interested in, is not sufficiently covered by this OBN. So what do? We have a data set that we've acquired, but it doesn't sufficiently cover the area of interest. Fortunately for us, in 1998, we had acquired an ocean bottom cable, and that ocean bottom cable sufficiently covers the Aturu prospect, which is our focus area today. But the difference between ocean bottom node and ocean bottom cable is the fact that ocean bottom cables are just cables. They are not nodes. So they are long cables that you place on the sea floor, while ocean bottom nodes are nodes just like backpacks and what we've just watched. So on one hand, we have ocean bottom nodes that we recently acquired with high quality. On the other hand, we have a 1998 ocean bottom cable that we acquired a long time ago that sufficiently covers. So how do we get the best of both worlds? So we hold that thought while we walk through the workflow. So now we'll talk about the workflow. But before we talk about the workflow, let's look at the available data sets. We talked about it previously, but we're now going to zoom in and focus and have a bit of detail. So in 1998, we acquired an ocean bottom cable that adequately covers the Aturu prospect. But it's of, compared to what you can acquire today, it's of low quality. In the year 2001, we merged this OBC with an adjacent streamer survey. Streamer is when you tow those cables within the water body, so they're not sitting on the sea floor, if I may use that word. So after merging in 2001, we have this, what image you have in the middle. So you have Aturu here and the streamer here, and you can see the merge. But the challenge with this merge is that it's of poor quality, so it couldn't help us in further de-risking this reservoir. So that's why in 2006, we revisited the reprocessing of the P and Z components of this data. But currently, the data set being used is the OBC and streamer merge. The P and Z components were reprocessed in 2006, but because of the poor quality of the Z component, it was not taken further. Only the P component was processed and it was kept as an intermediate data set. Then in 2019, we acquired one of the largest OBN data sets in shallow offshore in the group. High quality data with a maximum offset of over 10 kilometers. Then in the year 2020, we processed this data set and we have an intermediate data. Just have this in mind as we walk through the slide. So with these two data sets, we designed a workflow which you have on the first part. The first step was to take the P and Z components of the OBC data and start from scratch. Let us process them from scratch. Since we say we have a lot of noise in the data, we want to improve the quality. Let's see what we can do to suppress the noise and improve the quality. Then the next step is to do a P to Z summation. P to Z summation is another noise suppression technique. It helps us to take away unwanted signals from the data. Then the third step is to merge the OBC and the OBN. Seismic merge is not trivial. Imagine you would like to merge your favorite song that was recorded using a tape recorder and you have it in a cassette, and you want to merge it with a favorite song today from a song that you recorded with your phone. You agree with me that the sound quality will be different, the synchronizations will be different, and the timings will be different. Those similar considerations are taken into account when you're trying to merge seismic data. So it must be done with utmost care. The next step is to do a velocity model update. Velocity is very important for time to depth conversion and also for imaging. The final step is post-migration processing. So it's very easy. We move from step 1 to step 5. But alas, that was not our experience. At step 2, we encountered a serious challenge. The P component of the data, which was already really good, didn't have a problem. But it was the Z component that had a challenge, and we couldn't progress with step 2. So quickly, we had to revise the workflow and go to the next workflow that you have below. Step 1 was to take the intermediate P legacy component and merge with the intermediate OBN component. Due to time, we had to leverage on digitalization so that we would still not, wouldn't have any delays and we'll be able to deliver a data set that will be used to mature the Aturu prospect. So we deployed machine learning and that bought us some time. Then finally, we did a post-migration processing. Before we see the outcome of this second workflow, let me show you what we mean by saying that the data quality of the P or the Z component is not decent enough to progress with step 2 in the previous workflow. The image on the left is a seismic image of the P component, which is the hydrophone component. For people with seismic interpretation background or who understand seismic data, you can begin to see faults here. This is a subsurface image. So you can begin to see faults. when you hear us talk about fault, and you can begin to see stratigraphy terminating against those faults. I can begin to see beds dipping, formations dipping in the subsurface, in the P component. However, when you go to the Z component, you can barely make out any faults. You can barely make out any stratigraphy. You can barely make out any dips. So when you sum these P and Z, what you have is destructive interference. This was the challenge we encountered in step 2 of the previous workflow that we couldn't progress, that we had to revise the workflow. So now that we've talked about the challenges, let's see the outcome of the merge that we did. On the left is the data that the business is currently using to mature the prospect, which is the OBC and streamer merge that was done in 2001. You see faults here that have been interpreted, and you see events. This is the location of the actual prospect here. One good thing about this data is the fact that it nicely covers the actual prospect, but it's not as clean as we would like it to be because of the data quality. It's not as sharp, if I may, as we would like it to be. Then the OBN only that we acquired is very clean, very nice. You can begin to see faults here that you cannot see in the old data. If you look at this here, you can see this fault that you can see the old data. And you can begin to see direct hydrocarbon indicators, bright spots here in this fault, between this fault block. You see them here, but it's not as bright as you see in the OBN data. But the OBN only has a limitation. It doesn't fully cover the actual prospect. Then the products that we worked on, which is the OBN OBC merge, which is the best of both worlds. You still have the benefit of improved fault quality. I still have the benefit of improved data quality, especially in the capturing of the actual area. And you can see that nicely you can interpret from the left-hand side to the right-hand side without having any difficulty compared to the OBN alone, where you can't even interpret or see the actual prospect. Then one other good thing about this is that because we can see more and we have more confidence in this, we're able to extend the TD of the well because we could see more prospects below our initial planned prospect. So we're able to extend the TD of the well. And this is what you call interpreter's delight because it's clean and it's extensive and you can interpret across the data easily. Another output from the merge was the velocity model. On the left is the OBC streamer the velocity model. And you can see that behind it is the seismic data. But if you compare it with the OBN OBC merge, which we have today, because you will realize that it's not as, it doesn't honor the geology. The new velocity model follows these dipping beds and it terminates against these faults that you can see here. But if you look at the previous velocity model, there are no terminations. Everything looks layer cake, simple velocity model. But this velocity model has an imprint of geology, and that's what we want. And this tells us that the velocity model is more reliable because it conforms to geology. And this velocity model was used to QC the previous stops, and it was also integrated in the pore pressure prediction work that was done. And like we mentioned, that the actual well is going to be high pressure well, so we need to be able to have a robust pore pressure prediction. So to wrap up, today we've talked about the business challenge. We also talked about the technical challenge. We've also talked about what we did in the workflow and what we encountered and what we did to overcome those challenges. So now we'll wrap up with the conclusion and way forward. So in conclusion, in spite of the initial challenges that we had merging the data set, we successfully merged both the 1998 OBC and the 2019 OBN. We demonstrated learner's mindset, which means the ability to just stop and recalibrate yourself during that project when you're having challenges and to learn from the challenges and to see what we can do. I also mentioned that we leverage on machine learning to ensure that we deliver the data in spite of the initial hiccups we had. So the data quality, we've shown that the data quality is quite improved compared to the old legacy data. And this has increased the confidence in the interpretation that we're carrying and thereby reducing the subsurface uncertainties. So we also extended the TD of the well, and this will also contribute to the gas volumes that we plan to supply to LNG Train 7. We won't stop here because we enjoy challenges, and that's why we are in this community to also share this work. So also plan to revisit the geophone component, the C component, to see what else can we do to further improve the data, because we have the data. What else? We are asking ourselves, what else can we do? So we'd like to also get your thoughts, your ideas, to see how to see how we can incorporate and integrate your thoughts and ideas to see how we can further improve the quality of the Z component, so we can revisit it. So thank you very much. And I also like to acknowledge our team and leadership, and also the SPDC JV partners for the opportunity and authorization to present this work. I would now like to open the floor to your questions, comments, and feedback, and let's have a conversation and learn together. Thank you very much. I'll now hand over back to Gogo.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo. That was a very exciting presentation, showing very powerful workflow there.
Thank you, sir.
Very outstanding results. So before I put the floor open, I just want to note some few points from what I've seen in his presentation. Basically, the topic itself shows some powerful lessons for us. It is powering the future through integrated statistical evaluation. When we talk about powering the future, basically we know right now, first thing we need to note is the massive shift of focus from fossil fuels to renewables. But basically, we know at least for the next few decades, fossil fuels are still going to play a major role in our energy mix. So it's still very important that we keep looking for these reserves, though we know they are going to come from very complex structural settings these days, but we still need to have to look for them, and that's why workflows like this are very, very important for us. So this is a very important step that this team has taken to see how to demystify some of the complex settings that we have in Niger Delta here. So going back to talk about the issue of integration, I see that he has made the integration they have done here can be seen on two levels, perspective, the integration. So first, you see they have integrated data sets from two vintages. So that's the first level of integration I'm looking at this evening, based on what you have presented. They have integrated data sets from two vintages. That's something I want to call for myself this evening. I want to call it span or cross-vintage analysis of data sets. So that's a very strong point there. Then two, on the other level of integration, I see that they have integrated an analysis tool where they have to bring in machine learning into velocity model building for the RMO analysis. So this is a very powerful workflow, and like I said, there's still more to be done. So at this point, let me call for, if you have questions or comments, any observations you like us to discuss, please, you have the floor now. You can go on and say your comments. You can also use the chat box, and we'll pick up your questions or comments from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dagogo. That was very apt.
Dr. Ibe, please, you have the floor now.
We have some hands
Yeah,
raised. Maybe you could call them. Okay.
Dr. Ibe, please, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir Chibuzo, for that wonderful presentation. My name is Dr. Ibe from Nigerian Maritime University. My question is quite, yes, Nigerian Maritime University, Warri Delta State. My question is quite simple. I looked at your velocity model, and of course, I saw the margin of the OBN and the OBC velocity model. And I observed velocity reversibility on that particular model. So I want to ask, how will you take into account multiple issues, pore pressure existence on that particular field? Because we believe that there is this assumption that velocity, of course, increases with depth. But from what I'm seeing here, there is a bit reversibility on this particular model. Thank you, sir.
All right, and thank you, Dr. Ibe, for that very good question. And I like the fact that you made a point around the fact we expect that as you go down, velocity should increase due to compaction. But when you have overpressured zones, you expect a reversal. And that's what we see in this particular project. And that's why we've termed those wells high pressure wells, because we expect to see overpressured zones. And that is corroborated by this velocity model that we see here and other parts of the data set. So velocity has a relationship with overpressure. Due to you expect compaction trend increase the velocity as you go deeper due to compaction. But when you encounter overpressured zones, overpressured reservoirs, overpressured formations, you have a reversal. And from that velocity model, you can begin to make inference. And you now also have to integrate other data sets coming from well logs and every other thing. But that's one good thing about seismic velocity, and the fact that it's also very extensive. Where you don't have wells, you can begin to make inference around what's happening there using the seismic velocity.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ibe, I hope your question has been gently addressed. So I'll hand over to Julius Adesun. Please have the floor now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. To the presenter, thank you very much. That was very short and straight. As regard the future idea, I want to ask. I don't know if this was part of your initial approach then, that conventionally the PHC submission is usually carried out before you do these multiple processes. So what about having carry out the multiple first before the PZ submission? I don't know if that was also thought about while you were using the initial approach. And secondly, the second question would be, from this two different approach of acquiring data, the OBC and the OBN, which one would you rather recommend, and then in terms of cost and also better resolution of the subsurface? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julius, and very, very good questions. And like I mentioned, we also came here to learn, and your question is pointing us in a particular direction. For the processing of the P and Z components, like you mentioned, you really want to ensure that both of them are the multiple, so that you have a good match. So we demultipled both components before we did a match. But the challenge we have with the Z component was that it is very noisy. Even while we were doing the demultipling, it was tough to QC because it was noisy. It's a very noisy component, and we are suspecting the fact that because it's very shallow water, that's why the Z component struggled to pick out the right signals that we want. So that approach has been taken. Then your other question on what would I recommend? OBN is quite expensive, but it is the way to go. OBN, especially node on the rope for shallow offshore. And for deep offshore, if you don't have so much money, you can start with maybe a streamer survey. Then if you want to do 4D, you want to do reservoir surveillance, the best and the global practice is to go OBN. But for shallow offshore, which we're talking about today, my recommendation will be to go for node on a rope, because it's stable on that. Because when you acquire data shallow offshore, the water depth is very low, and you have undercurrents that move these nodes. So you need something that is a bit stable. Compared to cables, ocean bottom cables, nodes are more stable and they have anchors. So I'll recommend you for shallow offshore, you acquire data set using the node on the rope OBN technology. For deep water, if the money is not so there, try streamer survey. But if you want to go for 4D surveillance, go OBN. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo. So Aurelio Asoja, you have the floor now.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Yeah, Chibuzo, thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah, so I just want to get some few clarification from you. Yeah, so I understand that you are not able to carry out based on the initial workflow, the summation due to the issues with the Z component. So this will now want to make me to get further maybe clarification on the machine learning process. Does it mean that the Z component was discarded in the machine learning process? Then also the velocity model update, that's the new one. Was it after the final merge? And it will also be nice to see how this actually like how it appears with maybe with well velocity. Maybe you have well for calibration or something.
Okay.
I don't know if you got my question.
Are you done?
Yes.
Yeah, I got your question. I'm glad you asked because it gives me an opportunity to refresh and also reemphasize my point. So on the first question regarding the Z component, if we use it for the machine learning, like I mentioned, it's a very noisy data, so we did not use it. What we went ahead with was the P component. And for machine learning, we did it after the merge. After we merged the OBN with the legacy intermediate P component. So for what we did was we had trained the machine to be able to identify where the velocity errors are high. So it picked the RMOs for us, and we used the RMOs to put in the inversion process, and we inverted using those RMOs to get an updated velocity model. Then your second question was on integrating well velocity to compare.
Yes.
Yes, well, no. What we did was after we built the velocity model, what we did was to compare with the sonic logs, just like some sort of blind test to see if it aligns, if both of them speak to each other. I don't have a slide here on that, but yes, we checked that, and it was a good match between the sonic log and the well velocity. The sonic log and the seismic velocity, rather. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I can't see any more questions here. Okay, I'm trying to check the chat for well, are you
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm looking at to see if I can have more questions there.
Okay.
Julius. Okay, I think this thing from Julius here. I guess supervised machine learning is in this regard. I really don't understand what it means, but I guess he's trying to ask if it was supervised machine learning you used for the RMO analysis.
Yes, it was. It's a type of supervised because we trained the model to be able to identify. We fed it with what an RMO looks like and what doesn't look like an RMO. So it was supervised. So we gave it an example of what it looks like so that it can be able to identify whenever it sees an RMO in any data set. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The other question here I see is, since you initially said OBN hardly covered the area of interest, was that the reason for merging the OBN and OBC? Well, I think I can easily answer that. I think that was the reason for the merge, because the OBN didn't fully cover the prospect area. Then second question there says also, how can one overcome the challenge associated with OBN if it is to be used alone? Are there challenges with the OBN?
Okay, let me go back. Okay, there's no challenge with the OBN. The problem was that during the acquisition, because it's very shallow water, and we are talking about massive vessels, so it's an operational challenge, in fact. So those massive vessels had a difficulty in going to this very, very shallow water to deploy the nodes. You understand? So it's more like an operational challenge, and it has nothing to do with the technology. So you have big vessels, you have very shallow water, less than 8 meters. And so maneuvering those massive seismic vessels was a problem. So that's why for safety reasons, by the way, for safety reasons. So we said we couldn't maneuver those vessels around there, so it didn't get to that part. So, but fortunately, we had a data set that covers it, and now we can merge and get the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. But just to further our question, so does it mean OBN cannot, in clear terms, can OBN not really function very effectively in very shallow water? That's what you're saying.
No, when you're acquiring data, you have to consider several things. You have to consider operations, the weather, you have to consider the waves, the currents, meteorology. So all those things play a major role. We would, if we didn't have any constraint, we would like to cross carpet the whole of our acreage, shallow water acreage with data. But because of some of these operational challenges that are by nature, caused by nature, there's so much you can do. So it's just a limitation from nature, right? There's so much you can do. So it has nothing to do with the technology. It's just the fact that you have so many considerations, operational challenges that you need to consider. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I can't see any more questions. I don't know if anyone else has a question. If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. At this point, I'll hand over to SPE, please.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo, and thank you very much, Dagogo. I'm particularly very excited with this topic because as engineers, when we start talking about the flow lines, when we start talking about the production facilities, when we start drilling the wells, when we start mitigating for pressure, this presentation just reminds us where it all starts. And that means it starts from exploration, it starts from geology and geophysics. Those images you saw on seismic, we've discussed it before in the past, of colors simply means sands and non-sands. Well placement needs good imaging to know where you land your wells. You need to watch out for your pore pressure. You need to watch out for your drilling modes. So all of those engineering you have to do will all be enabled by you seeing the subsurface and you knowing where you're about to drill. So conversations like this help us to understand that we don't go in blindly, because what happens is that the interpreter will interpret the reservoir, it will be converted to surfaces, the well engineers will plug in the wells, plan the trajectory, avoid the high pressure zone as Dr. Ibe had mentioned, Amara, and also all plan for it. And then that's why you start seeing conversation around mod weights, oil-based mod, water-based mod. All of these are all connected. The last presentation we listened, SPE, was around the mods and the mod weights. All of those calculations play into this. Those pressure zones have to be supported with the right mod. Again, watching out not to frack your reservoir and keeping the right balance. So connect it, connect the dots, and you see that it's apt. And what they have done is to leverage on the existing data because they want to see better, bring it all in, get the right of data sets, use machine learning to make it faster and better, train to understand what my velocity model would look like. And then you're able to get the best of image and be in the right depth and trajectory. Thank you once again, Chibuzo. And thank you, moderator, for a wonderful session so far. The SC is not here, Simeon, we can go on. Is the PC back? No, she also told me stepping out. Apologies, I'm not seeing my senior members on the call. Please help me, Simeon. Is there a senior member on the call that could help us present this certificate to the presenter and the moderator?
Can I add this to my CV?
Yes, you can. Simeon, do you have any?
Thank you.
It will be sent to you from SPE. This is Simeon. Do we have any senior member on the call attending?
We can also call a member of the board to do that.
Or any board member, please.
Okay, we have Madam Stella.
Okay. Thank you very much, Simeon. Sorry, I'm just focusing on the slide. Stella, could you, on behalf of SC and the SPE community, present this certificate to the presenter, Chibuzo? Thank you, if you can hear me.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hi, Stella. Good evening.
Yes, thank you very much to our presenter. Thank you, Chibuzo. Excellent presentation. I really enjoyed it. So on behalf of the SPE Section 103 board, I'd like to present this certificate to you in appreciation for your giving us a robust, educative, and edutaining indeed presentation this month. We enjoyed it, and I look forward to listening to small technical lectures from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stella.
I appreciate it.
And Chibuzo, this will be sent to you. Stella, please stay on the mic for the moderator. Hello, Stella.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead and present.
Okay. So on behalf of SPE Section 103, the board of the SPE Section 103, on behalf of my section chairman, Dr. Daniel Abia, I would like to present this certificate to Dr. T. Dagogo for being an awesome moderator for the 2023 February Mostly Technical meeting. Thank you very much, Dr. Dagogo. Looking forward to having more interaction with you in more technical events.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Indeed.
I'm looking forward to them too.
And this will be duly sent to your email from the section chair, appreciating this noble gesture you've granted us and the community. And once again, thank you, Chibuzo Cheje, and thank you, Dr. Dagogo, for helping us with the technical session of today. And now we'll move to the rest of the monthly technical meeting activities. Please, we're enjoying you to join us. In no time, we plan to close as early as possible, but we'll carry on with the rest of the SPE activity. And next is just on our sponsorship drive. We can always see the merits of listening to wonderful presentations like this. And that's why we have offers, openings to companies to sponsor, preferably face-to-face, such events. So you can imagine if we're having this event in a nice location where we could interact face-to-face. I'm sure lots of us have more questions. We could network the most. So this is just to encourage people, companies. So please go back to your company, say, I would like to make a presentation and I would like it to be sponsored. Feel free to connect with Simeon, myself, anybody, any board member, and you will be booked for that presentation. However, if you also have a very competitive technical presentation you'd like to share, I'd like to tell you that this presentation comes in good. It's being periodically QC'd. So if you have a presentation you'd like to share with the community, get across to myself or Simeon. It will be reviewed and can then be booked for one of the monthly technical meetings. Slots are limited, to be honest, but we also look forward to seeing who would like to share what you're doing in your space, in the office, in your research desk. We are happy to listen to you and also benefit from that wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much, Simon. And now, I'd like to invite any of the membership drive committee. Who do we have on call? Simeon? Is this?
Emanuela.
Huh?
Emanuela.
Oh, great. Emanuela, thank you. I don't even need to call you now. Just Tell me I'm here. Hi, Manuela. Can you hear me all right? Oh no, it seems like we've lost Emanuela. Simeon, could you just take this so that...
Okay, can we just take a quick photo before this?
Great. So let's, because people are leaving, yeah, people might leave. So let's turn on our camera. So one of the activities that we also keep memory of this event by taking group photos. We already know, SPE members already know, but for our presenters and moderators, please, let's do this before we get off the call. Can we turn on our cameras now? Simeon, do you have it? Nice. Where is Dr. Amara?
Hello,
Dr.
good
Ibe.
evening, Captain J.
Yes, Manuela, we'll come back now. Let's just take the group photograph before we lose more participants. Could we turn on our cameras if we can? Patrick, good to see you. Utoa, good to see you.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Uche. Dr. Ibe, I'd like to see you. It's been a long time.
Captain J.
Oh, Fato, nice. Okay, Simeon, have you taken it?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, we're good. Thank you. So go back to the membership drive. Emanuela, over to you now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I want to say wonderful presentation to our speaker. I'm not a geoscientist, but there was a lot for me to learn there. Yeah, and I also want to appreciate that it was packed straight to the point. So wonderful presentation, sir. So basically, I'm here to take the membership drive. So my assignment here is to ensure that every single member on the call that is an SPE member is encouraged to renew their membership. And for those of us that are new to SPE, maybe you've been hearing about SPE and decided to join the call today, this is a great opportunity for you to be a member of SPE. So as you can see, we share technical knowledge here today. So there's a lot to learn in SPE. That is one of the many benefits of being a member of SPE. So our membership spans from students members to recent graduates. So for student member, if you're on the call and you're a student, membership for you is free. It has been paid by Chevron upfront. So we also have like recent graduates for people that were SPE members while they were in school. So the transitioning year is free for them. Then we also have young professionals like myself and senior professional members. So what are the benefits of being an SPE member? I already mentioned there's the opportunity for us to share technical knowledge and find solutions to industry problems. Then also there's a strong industry network of leaders, of your peers and mentors. So you can also get mentorship from SPE. Then, of course, we have technical events such as this. And beyond the technical part of SPE, SPE is a family. So we support one another, we encourage one another. Then we also have events and activities that impact on the community positively. So you can see here, we have our Work for Life. We also have where we have events where we sort of exercise and sort of ensure that we are fit and healthy. Then we have like CSR events where we impact our community. I already mentioned that area. So this is more than enough reason for you to either renew your membership or become a member of SPE, and I bet you will not regret it. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. So over to you, Captain J.
No better words than to where else would you want to be? Rather be in a place where knowledge is shared and knowledge is power. And thank you very much, Emanuela, for that apt membership drive. Again, to encourage the community that some of the projects we have, and there is still drive for the support so that we could be able to reach out to people who are less privileged in our society and be able to impact the community where we live and dwell in. Thank you very much. Simia, what do we have next now? Is it upcoming events? Let's see. What programs do we have coming up? This is more like an announcement. Yes, it's Ofure on the call. The YP. Emanuela, can you still go ahead with this, please? So you can pitch it with the right frequency. Seems like we lost Manuela. Okay, I mean, this is also to invite us all to a YP program. You can see the topic very apt: gas well deliquification. Gas well deliquification. All right, it's more like a mini course on the 28th of February. Todun will be live. I know her, a very sound PT. And we also would like to make sure we are part of this, the YP monthly technical series, giving us opportunity to learn from all sphere of what we do in the energy sector. The conversation we had earlier around the driver and also impacting our neighborhood, the YP community have taken upon themselves to renovate this school we are seeing right here. Is dilapidated. The classroom, you could see how the children are struggling to learn. So we've taken it upon ourselves, being championed by the young professional arm of the SPE, section 103, to see how we could change the face of this school. And to that, phone drive have been on since last year. So if you're also on this call and would like to support this cause for humanity, let's do well to reach out and contribute in that space. Thank you, and God bless you as you do this. There's also the big one. I don't think I'm equipped to speak so much on this. Israel, are you better equipped than myself? I know I hear the, but where is Manuela? This is Emanuela's baby. Israel, I see you on the call. Do you want to speak on this, or I could go ahead? All right. So just like last year, Patrick is also here. Patrick.
Present. Yes, yes, Captain J.
On the symposium.
Okay, yeah, let me.
Talking for a while.
Sorry, do I go ahead?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, team. So we have an upcoming event, a very powerful event, well packaged, and it's all about sustainability. So it's a decade of action, and we're calling out all the young professionals to get involved, not just the young professionals. As long as you have a role to play in the energy space, you are part of this symposium. Anticipate the theme actually is secure and sustainable energy. So in this era of energy crisis, what are we doing? So the onus is on all of us to come out with our innovative ideas. So that's why we, the young professionals of SPE 103 section, came up with this theme. So it's going to be more powerful than what we had last year, and a lot will be learned. So we also have our charity football game coming up. So in this era of SDG, so we want it to be more like a gender equality thing. So the charity football game is not just for the guys. So we also have room for the ladies to play. So you see, we have a lot of activities, from knowledge sharing to sports to health. You know, we have a whole lot. So come on board, let us make some social impact and for the benefit of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. This symposium is one thing that you don't want to miss. I was part of it last year. In fact, I'm wearing the vest from the last year event. Please,
Captain J.
Be ready, be ready, be ready. Let's come and learn and network and interact. Lots of programs. Things are going to happen on the spot. Let me not reveal a lot more to clients. Thank you. Simeon, I think we should be wrapping up soon. This is the closing prayer, right?
Yes.
Before we wrap up, let me just say what the SC or the PC. I don't see the SC, the DPC. You know, I think there's a concurrent activity that was happening that the PC had to go. This is to, first of all, thank our speakers and the moderator once again for making this monthly technical meeting a memorable one. And this was indeed a twist from our normal engineering norm, and it's taking us back to where it all started, and back to data and how the rest connects. So we really appreciate you, and we also beckon on you to also answer us whenever we knock for your service, and to encourage every other person to be part and take up topics. Let's review your presentation, your topic, your materials, your abstract, and you can as well get a slot to present to us. Tomorrow is election, a big one for our nation. I hope we all are ready, and let's vote wisely, be safe, most importantly, and also I wish us all good luck as we do this. Let's take the final prayer. Is there a volunteer in the house for the closing prayers? Okay, otherwise we can use the second stanza of the national anthem. And Simeon, are you playing or reading, or should I go ahead?
I can play it if you want.
Okay. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our
leaders right.
Help our youth
to prove to know in
love and honesty,
to grow,
and live in just and true, great lofty heights
attain,
to build a
nation where peace and justice
shall reign. Amen.
Amen.
Let's get our PVC and vote well tomorrow. Until we come your way next time, thank you very much. Happy weekend and success in our electioneering. Good night and bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain J. Good night.